let you guys looking into some stuff this weekend, and for some reason this was on my brain, so I thought I would share this with you all today. I was looking. Give me a yes or no if you're aware of what was going on with Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan Experience, the Joe Rogan podcast on Spotify has been going through, some really interesting controversy right now, where a lot of artists and a lot of podcasters and people around the world are being heavily critical of Spotify for allegedly allowing Rogan to spread misinformation about the pandemic. Now, I want to begin by telling you a couple of things as we have this conversation. Nathaniel and the Traveling Man and Michael Johnson and Kilimanjaro and Julian, I see you in the chat. First, two things. One, I'm not a doctor, right? I'm a financial doctor, right? If you get financially sick, I'm your guy. But if you're talking about being medically sick, I'm not a doctor. My sister's a medical doctor, but I'm not a doctor. That's the first thing I want to say. Number two is you have the right to have whatever opinion you want. You can believe whatever you want. I'm not going to judge you. You can agree with Rogan and whatever the scientist said on his show, or you can disagree. It's totally up to you. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in freedom of expression, freedom of thought. And so, speaking of freedom, here's what's interesting to me.
Let me stop playing with y'all and get straight into this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tough Love Podcast. I just wanted to do that real quick because I wanted to make sure that we set the premise for the conversation. Joe Rogan under fire. If you can say the N-word, so can we. What do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about this? We've seen people that are not a part of the Black community say the N-word, and depending on if we like them or not, it is acceptable. So let me ask you guys a question. Good morning. Good morning. Is it acceptable? Is the N-word acceptable? I found a guy, or I stumbled across a guy on social media. His name was Eli the Computer Guy, right? And of course, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't talking about computers this day. He was talking about Joe Rogan and how that cancel culture or Black people were so upset that Joe Rogan said the N-word, but we're not upset at the other people on Spotify, the other Black artists on Spotify who use the N-word on a regular basis. I'm gonna be honest with you, how he presented it, he had a lot of points. So I'm gonna play this, fair use. I'm gonna play some of this and we're gonna break this thing down as we move forward. So let me just go ahead and get this thing started.
And now the schnizzle gets real. Joe Rogan can piss off Neil Young. He can piss off Joni Mitchell. He can even piss off the White House. But by God, he will not piss off a strong Black woman. So yeah, the bandwagon of attacking Joe Rogan is continuing, and Arie is apparently pulling her music. Have you ever heard of her? I hadn't heard of her. Actually, would not have cared. I would not have cared enough to grift off of this particular story, except for what she has said. Because what Joe Rogan has said about race is problematic.
So of course, you know what we do over here. We have the tough conversation over here. And it's not that I have an issue with this gentleman speaking on the situation. I think he exaggerates certain words. And it's interesting to me. He said, "Hey, you pissing off a strong Black woman." And I just think that if you're gonna keep that energy for everyone. Keish, what's up, Keish? I think you need to keep that energy for the whole entire situation. He exaggerates certain parts of the conversation that I kind of feel like, is a little childish or whatever, especially if we're going to have this conversation. Should white people or people that are non-Black or African American be able to use the N-word? And when he points it out, I have to agree that, the things that he point out in regards to Spotify, he said we want to cancel Joe Rogan on Spotify, but we do not want to cancel R. Kelly on Spotify. Yikes. Yikes. I'm gonna be dropping this link so we can have this conversation, but yikes. That if that's not a punch in the face to the African American community, I don't know what is, folks. I don't know what is. And I was reading his comments. in his comment section, and there's a lot of people that agree with him. How can you cancel Joe Rogan for saying the N word, but you didn't cancel R. Kelly? You didn't cancel Cardi B. You didn't cancel Little Boosie. There's a lot of people in regards to rappers that they have not been canceled, but you want to cancel a white guy for saying the N word. Let's listen to some more.
She cannot stand to be on a platform with such a racist, contemptible person. And that was a thing. That was a thing that kind of made my ears perk up. I was like, what? What? I think I hear stupidity. I think I hear somebody saying something incredibly stupid. I've got to grift off of this mother fodder. So that's one of the latest things that's come out, right? Because, again, in the modern world, with a certain side of history, they will throw the kitchen sink at you. And if the kitchen sink doesn't hit you in the head, then they will call you a racist. The next thing to do is call you a white supremacist. I'm not sure they fully got in there. But again, with Joe Rogan, in order to try to deplatform him, the idea is just to go out there and now start calling him a racist and start saying the things about race are problematic. And that's, oh, dearie me. Dearie me, that's why I can't be on this platform. If we go over here, we take coming from CNN, Communist News Network. India Arie says she's pulling her music from Spotify over Joe Rogan's comments on race. He made comments about race. Now, we'll go into a little bit. It gets a little bit more complicated about the comments of race. But CNN really wants to push this idea. She is leaving Spotify because of Joe Rogan's comments on race. Amplifying the comments on race, getting that out to the world.
I noticed, depending on if you're a part of the left wing or the right wing, the Republican, the Democrat, and notice that you always use a certain anthic or rhetoric. It's CNN, it's ABC, it's NBC. And my thought process is, do you guys feel like using the N word is wrong? Like, should black people be able to use the N word? We went through this whole situation where, we were called the N word, it was derogatory, and now we use it as a term of endearment, a term of empowerment. Like, women took the word bitch back, and my thought process is, should we be as upset if white people use it? Should we be even more upset if black people use it? We're going to talk about it. I'm going to drop the link so that way we can pull some people up, because I'm really curious about what you guys think about this situation. Again, this is fair use. Eli, the computer guy, is the guy that's talking. I'm not going to play any video, but I'm going to play audio. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. Shout out to everybody in the building. Raz Girl, Jada LaRue, Smiley, Lonnie in the building. I see you. I see y'all in the building, man. I see my sister in the building. Miss Lady, I see y'all. We're going to have a great discussion today. Let's get into it.
World, the problematic comments that are destroying the lifestyles of the African American community. Now, again, one of the issues that I have whenever I talk about this stuff is, again, I have a lot of sympathy for the African American community in the United States. Again, especially living in Baltimore, living in many places that I did not have a black friend. A lot of folks, that's the insult. Oh, you had a black friend. Like, no, I had lots of black friends. I had black bosses. I had black employees. I had black clients, and I had black vendors. I had black neighbors. I'd go to, grocery store, and the person, people there are as likely to be African American as anything else, right? And so, again, when I look at black people, I look at people. I think one of the big problems we have in our society is, again, how the human brain works. The thing is with black people is they can't wash off their blackness. Again, a white person can wash off hillbilly. They can wash off back country. They can go, and I've talked about this in another video, they can go to college and they can clean up their language and they can put on different clothing and they can pretend that their history is different than it actually is. Black person is just black, right? You can't wash it off. Again, that's one of the most effective ways to have a slave class, is to basically have a way to identify them that can literally never be removed. So anyways, right? One of the issues that I have nowadays is with this, again, thinking that black people are people. One of my issues is when I listen to modern music, especially a lot of modern music targeted towards African Americans. I actually
See, this is my problem, y'all. Because I'm watching. Listen, I'm watching his body language and how he exaggerates certain words or whatever case. And I just wish he just kept the same energy throughout. You know, I could take it more seriously. You know what I'm saying? Um, I get what he's saying, and he's going to. I listened to about 15 minutes of this, and then I said, you know what, this would be a great conversation for the Tough Love family. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just kind of. Maybe I should be listening like y'all. Let me listen like y'all. Let me stop watching this guy. Okay, all right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
find it to be rather disgusting. So again, I was around in the 90s. I was young in the 90s. And with rap and hip hop and some of the music back in the 90s, I actually understood the concept of the quote unquote taking the N word back. So when I was a kid, people that looked a lot like me threw around the N word a lot. A lot. Right? And so at some point, people decided that was a bad idea. But anyways, the African American community, they took the N-word. There's the idea of we are going to reclaim this word that has been used to degrade and denigrate us. We are going to put that into our music. We are going to take it back as a form of empowerment. The problem that I've seen over the years is that actually made a lot of sense during the 90s. 90s has been a while ago. 90s has been a long while ago. Here I realize how much further away I am from the 90s. And I think one of the problems we run into is in the modern world is kind of this idea of what happens when a group takes something back as a form of empowerment, but then they don't let it go. Right? That's what's supposed to happen. Psychologically, sociologically, that's what's supposed to happen is you take something as a form of empowerment.
Okay, I was mentioning this earlier. We took it back. We took it back for empowerment. We took it back and say, no, you're not going to use this word against us. We're going to fuse ourselves up with some type of empowerment and say, nah, I can say the N word. And now that we've been saying it for a while, now that we greet each other, we use it as a term of endearment. We drop it in, because we can't find the other words to really express how angry and upset we are. Because the N word has become a person, place, and a thing. The N word has become a noun. Have we taken it back and not let it go? Have we taken it back and not let it go? I'm trying to get through this video, y'all, so I can get this panel because I'm curious to hear what y'all got to say.
Until you've ripped away the power that it once had, and then you release it and it dies. The issue that we run into, I think, is that so many folks, especially in the African American entertainment industry, haven't let it go. What happens when it goes from people like me, people, the quote unquote authority, using the N-word to denigrate a population, to what happens when the population starts self-identifying with that denigration, right? It's a real big question. And it's one of the things like Apple Music. Again, I find it hilarious when Apple Music puts up things about BLM or whatever else, is I literally do not listen to the top 40 of Apple Music. I literally don't. I use Apple Music because I use iPhone for running and all that kind of stuff. But I don't listen to the top 40 because the top 40 is not the top 40 from the 1980s. Oh my golly, it's Cardi B and a whole bunch of artists I really don't know their names of that sit there. And they will be talking about the N-word, and they'll be talking about the bitches, and they'll be talking about the music that sing is degrading.
And this is where we start. And this is where we start. Is the music on the top 40 of Spotify degrading? Is the rap music that we listen to degrading? Let's have an honest conversation. Matter of fact, let's have a tough conversation. Have we noticed that a lot of the things that get pushed out mainstream media, the baby, Little Boosie, Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, do we notice that they all have this medium to it? Money, power, sex, drugs, hot girl summer, thugs, shooting, crime, jail, womanizing. I'm just being real. I gotta give him his flowers. I'm telling y'all, I really believe that. I believe that a lot of our music, um, it promotes the worst part of our living, the worst part of our essence. Like it's great that we have a culture, but I think the black culture is more than just lyrics. I think it's more than just partying, smoking weed, and drinking and having sex. I think we do have a dynamic culture that produce a lot of great things. You know, whether it's ingenuity, uh, great minds in reference to thinkers, athletes. I mean, I think that we create a very special dynamic. But the thing about it is, why do we make rappers rich? Why do we make rappers rich? Why do we make men who talk about and downgrade women rich? Why do we make women who scream about hot girl summers and twerking everywhere? Why do we make them rich? America is really the land of opportunity when you can be a stripper, say that you drugged men, and say that you've used men for money, and then say, hey, I'm gonna make some songs about it. So I have to agree with him on that. I have to agree that a lot of our music, when it comes to rappers, you know, it is very degrading towards the black community, towards individual men and women. And it's interesting that, you know, he's going to talk about India Arie. She didn't say I want to remove myself from Spotify because of the degrading music that you guys play and you promote from black Americans. She wants to be removed because Joe Rogan said the N-word. Is it fair? Is it fair? Is it fair? Or are we just nitpicking? Are we having this selective outrage? Because I'm going to be honest with you, it looks like selective outrage versus holding everyone accountable or responsible for what's being pushed out. Let's get back into this.
The music that they sing is denigrating. It's disparaging. And I don't know. I don't like to hear that about a group of people, especially a group of people that I consider people, and most of them are rather quite nice, right? And when you just go there and you listen to this denigrating, just destructive music, and again, it's an interesting thing with art forms. Again,
Okay, again, listen, I said I wasn't going to do it. I'm looking at him, right? I'm looking at him, right? I don't know. He's like, you know, most of them are rather quite nice. Eli, the computer guy, bro. I'm about to give you. I'm about to piss you off, brother. I'm about to piss you off. Listen, I get that that art form is very detrimental and can be very shocking. Um, I believe that a lot of that is because of a lot of people grew up that way, and that is their truth. I'm gonna be honest with you. We're gonna keep this fair and impartial. A lot of things when you talk about smoking weed and selling drugs and going to jail and having sex and womanizing and shooting somebody, like all of that is a part of the dynamic in which people grow up. So of course that's what they're going to rap about. People are not going to rap about the suburbs and, you know, going to get ice cream on Sunday. People are going to rap about what it is that they're a part of. Now don't get it twisted. There are a lot of people rapping about these things who are not a part of that type of environment. You know, they just know how to put, you know, beats together and verbs and hooks together. So now it's like, okay, I can make money like this. So they go dye their hair, get some piercings and tattoos. You know what I'm saying? So now I want to be a part of this community. This, you know, this makes me cool. This makes me down. This makes me lit. You know, when it's up, it's stuck. This makes me a part of, and I get it. You know, like Charleston White. Charleston White said, "Hey, I came from a good home. You know, I chose to be in the streets. I chose to run around and do the things that I did. So I get it. You know, it's an art form, but the thought process is, should we silence the art form? Uh-oh. And if we do try to silence it, do we infringe upon people's freedom of speech? Uh-oh. Do we say we're going to attack rappers who talk about drugs and gang banging, et cetera, et cetera? But if that's the case, do we attack heavy metal, grunge music? Do we attack it all, or do we start with rap? And I think that was the issue that I had with this conversation. The gentleman that's speaking, it's great to say, yeah, you know, this rap music is pretty damaging. However, he said nothing about heavy metal music. He said nothing about grunge music or punk music, you know what I'm saying? That talks about using drugs and getting high and Satanism and all of these other things. So my thought process, is he being fair and impartial? Is he being fair and impartial? Or is this just a guy that this is a chance to punch the black community while they're in confusion or while they're in deliberation about Joe Rogan? This is his way of defending Joe Rogan by pointing out where there are other people that talk about the N-word. So why is it so difficult for us to be able to use the N-word, or Joe Rogan to be able to use the N-word? We're going to talk about this. I'm going to drop this link, so y'all get ready.
That's one of the things I used to say in when I did my 2-hour shows. You know, the power of a word, right? If you're a black person and I call you the N-word, because of societal structure that has power, right? Because if I'm the authority figure and I help control the police and all that kind of stuff, it is a way of identifying you and saying that you are outside the structure. So that is a societal power, but on an individual human level, it doesn't necessarily actually have to be that powerful, right? I am calling you something. As long as you don't self-identify as that thing, right? I call you lazy. Well, screw you. I'm not lazy. I'm going to go play sports or do martial arts or do something else, right? I call you stupid. You know, you go out and learn math and prove how not stupid you are, right? I'm calling you something. But if you don't take that into yourself, if you don't start self-identifying as that thing, it's not necessarily that powerful from a psychological standpoint. What becomes interesting, again, in 2022, with a lot of the African-American entertainment industry throwing around the N-word, is what happens when the population self-identifies as that. I don't say that anymore. People that I'm around don't say that anymore, right? Society, by and large, Morgan Wallen literally said the N-word to his friends after he was drinking in his own neighborhood at midnight, and they tried to cancel his ass for it.
So again, you guys can't see his body language, but you can hear his words as he stretch out certain words, emphasize certain words. To me, this last example that he just gave, it said, hey, this guy was in his home around his own friends, and he said it. Listen, let me tell you, let me give you guys this uh, public service announcement. Okay, at no point in time is it okay for Caucasian people to say the N-word. Okay, let's stop the nonsense. Let's stop the nonsense. Now, in regards to media, in regards to whether it's social media, whether it's music or whatever, printed, whatever the case, whatever type of media outlet it is not okay to use the N-word. That goes for blacks or anybody else. You see what I'm saying? I believe you, Ralph. I believe you, Neil, Mr. Neil. I believe that. You know what I'm saying? It's just another ignorant person trying to play smart. Because it's to me, he's trying to disguise when it's okay for someone to say the N-word. And my thought process is there are other words that we can use to identify each other with. There are other words that we can use as term of endearment. Nothing has come positive from the N-word. Now I get it. We probably have all been guilty at some point in time of saying X, Y, and Z, but that's because we didn't know any better. Because at that particular time, our maturity level wasn't developed as much as it is now. So I just look at people who constantly and consistently say the N word as if it's some term of endearment or empowerment. I just like, hey man, you know, we need to exercise more vocabulary. We need to exercise reading of the source or something, because It's guys like this right here. And I'm not knocking this content creator, this computer, Eli, the computer guy. I'm just saying his emphasis on how it's okay to use the N word, in the confines of your own home. Well, here's the thought process: if you use it in the confines of your own home, and if some type of way it got to the public, it's no longer within your own home. I hate to burst your bubble. It's no longer within the confines of your own, the privacy of you and whoever you're talking to. Now, someone has said either one, I felt like you was wrong when you said it, or two, you wanna portray outside your home that you're something that you're not. You know what I'm saying? I don't walk around and I don't call white people names and say, oh well, as long as I'm in my home, I'm okay. As long as I'm with my friends, I'm okay. It's not okay. It's not okay to call people names. It's not okay to use racial slurs, regardless if you feel like they've taken that word back or not. It's not okay to use those words. And I just think that what he says in a lot of this is just very, I don't want to say demeaning, but very snarky, or very, I don't want to say condescending. I just feel like how he's presenting it, it just seems very um they won't catch it. They won't catch what I'm doing here. They won't understand what I'm doing here. And I just wanted to let them know I understand what you're doing here. I understand what you're doing here, and I don't find it funny. I don't find it needed. And I find it unwarranted. But the question of the day is, if you can say the N word, so can we. Okay, well, why do we say the N word? I think that's the real question. Why do we say the N word?
So we're not saying it by and large. The group that's saying it is actually the group that word was used to try to control and to try to keep subservient. And so when you hear, again, media pushing this narrative 2 decades past the point when the word should have lost power, it does become an interesting question of who is actually subjugating who. And so what's interesting here with Arie, right? When she talks about Joe Rogan's comments on race, and those are so problematic, she has to pull her content off of the platform. And yet, when I go to Apple Music, I literally do not turn on the top 40 anymore because it makes me sad when they talk about black people. Right? It becomes an interesting question. What is the real degradation here? And
So now I'm taking it as condescending. I'm about to piss about it, I swear. Now I'm taking it a little bit as condescending. Here's the thing. He's talking about Arie. She is said that she is, along with other artists, are pulling their music from Spotify because Joe Rogan, they don't want to be on the same platform as a white man saying the N-word. So Eli, the computer guy, which is the guy that's talking right now, is outlining, well, you don't want to be on a platform with this white guy that says the N word, but you don't mind other black people using the N word. And the thing about it is, should it be the same standard across the board? Should the N word be canceled? Should the N word be destroyed? So that's a real question for us as African Americans and people that identify themselves to be. Um, should we use the N word? Is it okay to use the N word, or have we taken it back long enough to say, okay, we've now empowered ourselves by this. Now we can use something else. Now we can say something else, like the word bitch. I mean, hasn't it been used enough? Can we now use other vocabulary to identify, to empower, to enlighten? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I'm gonna open up the panel so that way we can have this conversation. So you guys stick around. I'm just trying to give him his just due and play his video. I think it's very important to hear from the horse's mouth. Here we go.
interesting part too is, again, if we look at Spotify, because Joe Rogan is the horrible person. Sitting there smoking a joint, talking to somebody is horrible. But as I've brought up before, R. Kelly is still on Spotify. R. Kelly is a brutal, horrible, nasty racist that will hopefully rot in jail for the rest of his life, right? Multi-platinum R&B artist whose musical legacy became intertwined with dozens of accusations of sexual abuse, was found guilty on Monday of serving as a ringleader of a decades-long
Somebody
scheme
block
to
Jada LaRue.
recruit
Block
women
Jada
and
LaRue.
underage girls for sex. The jury in New York deliberated for about 9 hours before convicting the singer of all 9 counts, including racketeering and 8 violations of an anti-sex trafficking law known as the Mann Act. He is a horrible, god-awful, nasty, disgusting abuser of African American women, destroying their lives. But that's not why.
So I gotta say this. I gotta say this. Me and Spitting Fire. I hopefully we still cool. After the whole, me talking to. But here's the thing, man. Just looking at Spitting Fire and those that are supporters of R. Kelly, like heavy supporters. Let me ask you guys something. Was R. Kelly put on trial because he ruined young girls' lives? Because it was like something totally different, like racketeering or something like that, like guilty of racketeering. Like, was he put on trial because he destroyed African American females' lives? Salute, Neil. I see you. I don't. So what he just said to me, I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, was kind of slanderous. You know what I'm saying? We can say that R. Kelly, possibly was allegedly in a sex tape with a young girl. That he did have some type of relationship with young women, but how many lives did he destroy? I mean, come on now. Let's just be real. How many lives did he actually destroy? So to paint that picture, you know what I'm saying, to paint that narrative that, R. Kelly is this and R. Kelly is that. And my thought process is that, here's the thing. When someone does something or someone is guilty of something, don't add to it. It's like people always need to add more to it to make it sound, you know what I'm saying, even crazy. Let me rewind this a little bit, because I feel like it's important for you guys to just hear this part again, because I didn't like that. R. Kelly is this and R. Kelly. Okay. Is he? Was he found guilty of that? Or are you just saying that because of the Lifetime special? Let's get back into this and I'll let it play.
Ready for about 9 hours before convicting the singer of all 9 counts, including racketeering and 8 violations of an anti-sex trafficking law known as the hopefully rot in jail rest of his life, right? Multi-platinum R&B artist. Rogan is the horrible person. Sitting there smoking a joint, talking to somebody is horrible. But as I've brought up before, R. Kelly is still on Spotify. R. Kelly is a brutal, horrible, nasty racist that will hopefully rot in jail for the rest of his life, right? Multi-platinum R&B artist whose musical legacy became intertwined with dozens of accusations of sexual abuse, was found guilty on Monday of serving as a ringleader of a decades-long scheme to recruit women and underage girls for sex. The jury in New York deliberated for about 9 hours before convicting the singer of all 9 counts, including racketeering and 8 violations of an anti-sex trafficking law known as the Mann Act. He is a horrible, god-awful, nasty, disgusting abuser of African American women, destroying their lives. But that's not why India Arie is getting off of Spotify. And again, you can go to Spotify right now and you can click on one of his songs. I'm not going to. On a content claim or copyright claim. Wouldn't that be hilarious? I could get my channel deleted for playing the music of a fucking rapist. But again, a rapist of young African American women is being amplified on Spotify. And that's A-okay. That is completely fine.
When the freedom of speech is not free. You sat there and called this man a rapist, and he has not been found guilty of being a rapist. I want you guys to think about this, man. For some reason, going to court nowadays, it's like we're going to try you by social media. We're going to try you on printed media. We're going to try you through the radios. We're going to try you on YouTube, try you on TikTok, try you on Instagram, but we're not going to try you in the court of law. Where has he been found to be a rapist at? But you sit here freely. This guy has 1 million subscribers. I want you to let that sink in real quick. I want you to let that also sink in that he says, well, I don't have a lot of black friends right now. And you send this narrative out to the world. You promote to 1 million people that this man is a rapist. But he has not been tried in a court of law as a rapist. And you compare him to Joe Rogan. I want you guys to think about this. This is the reason why I think that, us as African Americans, we cannot sit around and call each other names. We cannot be at odds. We cannot be promoting dysfunction, because these are the types of, here's the thing. None of the people that do the most on social media right now, none of these content creators have 1 million subscribers. None of them have 1 million subscribers. This guy that I'm playing right now has 1 million subscribers. I want you to think about the narrative that you push. Are all black men like R. Kelly? Are all black men doing this inside their communities? Are all black men dangerous? Now, I don't mind having the tough conversation, but if we don't keep it realistic, if we don't keep it fair, is it worth having a conversation? How he described R. Kelly to me was absolutely appalling, because the thought process is he was not on trial for those things. He were not found guilty of those things. Those people got paid for a lifetime special, told their story. If you think that there was nothing embellished, you're absolutely absurd. You're absolutely absurd. If you think that everyone sat there and told the absolute, you are absolutely absurd. I'm not saying that he's guilty. I'm not saying that he's innocent, but I know better to know that he wasn't those things that was just identified and deserves those type of things. Maybe I'm just being a bit too for anybody to put things on me that I wasn't found guilty of. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. Words have meaning. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Joe Rogan smoking a joint and talking to people. That is the real evil. And that's where, like I said, it's just, you look at this and these jackasses have lost their damn mind. And I don't care if you're black. You're a black jackass. India Arie is the latest prominent, sure, whatever. Prominent is Joni Mitchell, prominent artist to announce she'll be removing her music from Spotify because it platforms Joe Rogan. Again, to be clear, doesn't give a damn about platforming R. Kelly. R. Kelly, come on, look at that face. You know you want to grab that face by its ears and do something nasty to it. Yep, not R. Kelly. Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has conversations. Conversations are dangerous. Raping young African American women is, well, it's a black culture apparently. Again, and that's where like.
I hear you, Jada, but here's the thought process, right? Here's the thought process, and I might shake up the room a little bit, right? You have a young girl, like when I was let's say I was in high school, like 9th grade or whatever case may be. Those 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders were all messing with older dudes, whether they were in college or whether they were just outside of the high school, situation. They were all messing with older dudes. So that whole thing about R. Kelly picking up young girls or whatever, I'm gonna be honest with you, based on where I'm from, the community that I'm from, I've seen that personally. That's why so many people can understand, hey, I'm sleeping with a 17-year-old, I'm sleeping with a 18-year-old, because those girls went to those guys, after school, they hopped in those cars and they drove off. You understand what I'm saying? Now, here's my thought process. Do I think that sleeping with underage girls is cool? Hell to the no. There's a zero tolerance. The thought process is this, right? If you guys are agreeing to have sex, because here's the thing, what is the statute of limitation in certain areas? Some areas is you can have a reasonable consent at the age of 17, whereas we may not like it. In some areas, it's legal. So you can't call someone a rapist if it's legal in that particular area. Now, I don't know what it is for Chicago, but the fact of the matter is, it's like I just think that these words are being thrown around, you know what I'm saying? And it has to be some type of validity to the conversation. How he just described them, R. Kelly, to me, I'm like, well, was he on trial for that? But I get it. I appreciate you saying that. And maybe I missed the mark. So if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. So I appreciate someone in the chat letting me know. I get it. I get it. I get it.
Do you even understand where these thought processes go? White guy has a conversation, that's violence. Black guy rapes young black women. Nah. It's what black people do. Like, you don't have to be a Nazi to start thinking where this road gets really bad really damn quick. God damn it. Anyways. Let's see. Music from podcasts, because of platforms. Joe Rogan, a podcast host who has repeatedly made false claims about COVID-19. Arie's departure from the service is over a different set of comments Rogan made. The R&B singer said in an Instagram post that Rogan's, quote, language around race. His language around race. See, he would have done... Dude, come on now. It's the modern world. I'm not going to say that. That's horrible. I'm not going to make a comment about if he just raped a young African-American woman. Then nobody would care. Anyways,
This is what I love about the Tough Love audience. We ask the tough questions. Yes, I understand exactly what you're saying. Let me read this out. Miss Jada LaRue, before I block her, I'm just playing. She says, so are you saying that if your young underage 12-year-old daughter gives consent to an older adult male, you good? No, I am not saying that. I believe that grown people should be with grown people. I believe that teenagers should stay in a teenager's place. However, since we don't have males and females, we don't have fathers and mothers, we don't have parents in the home. For some reason, for whatever reason, it is an issue with co-parenting. So whether you are a male custodial parent or a female custodial parent, you can't be all places at one time. People, young girls was going down to R. Kelly's trial when he was on trial for X, Y, and Z. These young are going to concerts, adult supervision. So here's the thought process. If the legal age in that particular state is 17 years old, that 17-year-old girl is going to make a choice. And if her choice is to sleep around X, Y, and Z, the thought process is that's on her. That's on her. I mean, we can sit here and the parents, but she made a legal decision with this man. And my thought process is, well, dad, as a grown adult, that you're sleeping with young girls, hell yeah. But the fact of the matter is, why did they say, no, we're not going to put it at 17, we're going to put it at... So there's a big problem other than just, these two people having sex. The state legislation needs to be changed. No, I don't think 17 is old enough. I think 18 is old enough. I think when you have a damn credit score over 700 is older. Like, I mean, it needs to be changed. And I think those people that live in states where teenagers can have an option whether they want to sleep with adults or not, I think those parents, and I think the mayor, the governor, the congressmen, congresswomen, I think they need to come together and change the laws. I think that's where it's at. I think that's where it's at right now. But no, I don't think that any 13, 12, 15, 16-year-old girl or boy should be empowered to the point where Okay, I think we're good now. Let's see.
Anyways, she wrote, referring to Rogan's overall deal with Spotify, thought it'd be worth more than $100 million. Quote, this shows the type of company they are, and the company they keep. I'm tired. Yeah, they keep company with R. Kelly. They keep company with a child rapist. They're okay with them keeping company with a child rapist. But anyways, musicians have long criticized Spotify for what they believe are insufficient royalties. So we go over, we take a look at her little Instagram thing. This is actually what her Instagram thing says. Pull my music and podcast from Spotify. Neil Young, open a door I must walk through. I believe in freedom of speech. However, I find Joe Rogan problematic for reasons other than his COVID interviews. For me, it's also his language about race. So this is what she says. I am talking about is respect, who gets it and who doesn't. A fraction of a penny and him $100 million. This shows the type of company they are and the company that they keep. I'm tired. Yes. I'm tired about nobody caring about R. Kelly. I'm so exhausted. I am so exhausted sitting here being like, what about the child rapist? Is nobody else bothered? Rapist? You're platforming a child rapist.
Okay, y'all. This is obviously obviously there's a lot going on. The stream, you know what I'm saying, said a couple things, you know, to make people feel a certain type of way. I think there's certain words you can't say, and I don't think my stream is a pot. Yeah, I think so, Jada. I think so. Yeah. I think so. Maybe if I slow down real quick, I think. Again, that was Eli, the computer guy. If you guys want to listen to the rest of that, feel free to run over there and check it out. Not right now, of course. I'm gonna try to yeah, man, yeah, it's tripping. I'm gonna try to open up this panel. Yeah, he probably do. You're probably right. He probably does the word. Because to me, he's too comfortable with the conversation. It's like he just said the N word. What's the problem? You know, what's you know, and I just feel like either you're against using it or you're not. You know, either you're against it or you're not. And I just feel like some people, um, you know, just his body language just tells me that he's comfortable, you know, amongst his friends saying certain things. You understand what I'm saying? He's comfortable amongst his friends doing and saying certain things. So yeah, yeah, and that right there is what, you know, that right there is interesting as well, Jada. You know what I'm saying? Oh well, I used to use it back in the day. Well, you use it. Stop lying. So I'm gonna drop this link and see if we can get into this conversation. Hopefully we don't have any issues with the stream moving. We cut the, but we'll see. I don't think my platform, you know, has 1 million subscribers, so maybe they let him get away with a couple things that they will not let me get away with. Get it? I understand. You know, no doubt. Happy Black History Month, you guys. So I just dropped the link. Feel free to hit the link. And let's have this conversation. We can have a brief conversation about what you guys think topic. And we can go from there. So feel free to hit the link. The link is in the chat. Yeah, but I just feel like, you know, we are in a situation right now where we definitely don't need to be um throwing the N word around as if it's like, I'm really trying to get through the stream, y'all. I'm really trying. I really try. I tell you what, I don't know if it's gonna work or not. I tell you what, leave your comments down in here. Maybe I'll start this thing back up and we could just have the part 2 of this in the conversation part piece, whatever case may be. All right, please tuning in. Obviously, YouTube is not playing any games when it comes to certain words. And I'll keep that in mind for the next stream. I appreciate you guys. I'll holler at you. Shit, I was about to end this thing. I was about to end this thing. I don't know if it's gonna work or not.
Are you talking to me or everyone? Because I can't tell if I'm in the stream yet.
Oh yeah, you in the stream.
Oh, okay. Okay. So hey everybody, what's going on? Salute to you, tough love. So I wanted to come on in and have a tough love discussion with you about this. In my idea, I know you said the question is why do we as Blacks still use it? And I think it's about why them as white people want to say it so bad. Like, what does saying it do for you, white people? Does it empower you? Does it make you feel cool? Why are y'all fighting to want to say something that y'all already understand? Y'all have said and abused against us for years, and we don't like y'all saying it. So why don't you just respect it? It doesn't matter what we do. It matters what we say y'all do to us when y'all say it and y'all understand it. Y'all know it. That's why y'all stop saying it, at least publicly, because you know it could create a backlash for you. So since you know that, it's not really a question about why is it that we say it. Because see, I don't say the word. So he ain't even talking to me. But at the end of the day, why do you want to say the word? What does it do? What does it do for you? Because see, that's what they need to start answering. What does it do for you, white people, that allows for you to feel like you should combat us on wanting to say the word? That's the real question. I'm tired of them asking, well, why y'all get to say it? No. Why do you want to say it? Tell me that part.
Okay. So here's play the devil advocate. I know one Rush. I'm not if this is the Rush that I know. Your face real quick. Can't nobody else see your face except me. I just want to make sure.
You say what?
I'm talking to Rush real quick. If you can just show your face real quick, I can bring you on. Okay, all right, we good. So Rush, what do you think about what Jada LaRue just said? I don't know if you heard her. What do you think about what she's saying?
With the whole R. Kelly situation.
Oh, this is my boy. What's up, Rush, man?
Yo, what up?
I didn't mention about the R. Kelly part yet. He's talking about where I'm talking about why is it that they want to use the word so bad? What is their argument towards wanting to use it rather than asking why do we use it?
Okay, a superior complex. You know, it's one of those. It's one of those things where because they're not allowed to use it psychologically, they want to use it just because of that. I mean,
I agree because it's one of the words
if that makes any sense.
It does because it's a lot of things that they're able to do out in this world, right? They're superior, quote unquote. They're superior. So they can say a lot or they can do a lot of things out here. But the one thing that they know might get them popped in the mouth or quote unquote canceled by our black dollars is to say that word. So they want to open up the door to be able to say it so that they can hold power and be able to do stuff like break certain cases where they've been caught saying the N-word. And so we realize they're racist. And they want to be able to say stuff like, oh, no, we were saying that within love.
I mean,
we were just talking about the homies.
It's clear as day that Joe Rogan is racist, but he's not one of those type of racists where he believes believes that like yo, black person needs to be hung. I mean, on that extent, you know what I mean? And most Caucasians do have this mindset that Joe Rogan has. It's just that he's brave enough to speak speak out on it. I mean,
In my eyes, bravery is being able to not say the word versus saying it. That's easy. That's easy. He can say that if he feels like it because he know he has the audience. Though I
So,
do get what you mean. I do get what you mean by that.
so this is my pushback for you guys. Why say the word then? Why is it that it's okay? We don't want Caucasian people saying it. We got it. But why do we need to say it? Haven't we been saying it long enough?
I mean,
We can have that discussion. We got that discussion, but that ain't the point.
here's
Well,
the thing.
I feel like the point is if you totally say, well, no, we're not going to do this. Y'all not going to do it. We're not going to do it, and we move forward.
Okay,
No.
okay. Here's the thing. If you grew up in a active and aggressive urban community like I have, we tend to use that word in a place of endearment. Now, you know, due to the fact that these Caucasian has a strong history of raping and pillaging other nations, and
You have to be
people
careful
have
with the words.
right. That's why I'm like, that's why I'm talking real slow so that you know, I'm watching what I'm saying. But
Okay.
and what I'm trying to get to the point is like, hey, you know, they done did their dirt. You know, let us just have this. You know, like you can't say the word, and this is how we communicate amongst each other. I mean, that's just something that they're just going to have to accept. For example, like the Zionist Jewish community. I mean, if you say for
That's a
example,
sensitive word as well.
Whoopi
Just real quick,
Goldberg,
real quick. That's a sensitive word as well, by the way.
like Whoopi Goldberg with her situation, you know, having her opinion on the situation with Adolf, you know, they immediately
Uh-huh.
got her suspended, and now they're getting ready to try to fire her. And like she didn't say anything. All she said was like, "Hey, you know, the guy that did those heinous crimes was not coming from a racist perspective point of view by doing those things to that certain group of people." Know what I mean? And you know, they immediately got rid of her and gave her the 2 weeks suspension and all that. And you know, that's just their thing. You know, if you cross that line, the Zionist Jewish community will deal with you accordingly. You know what I mean? I think it's the same thing with us. You know, we need to have, you know, this is how we communicate with amongst each other. They need to respect that. You know what I mean?
Okay, okay. Uncle Stu is in the building. Uncle Stu, what do you think about this topic? Okay, I got you. Uncle Stu, you there?
Okay, then yeah, oh, go ahead. I thought maybe it was messing up.
Uncle Stu, let me know in the back chat when you're ready, okay? Go
So
ahead,
yeah, I
Joni.
get what you're saying, but you know that's because they control the media platforms that she on. So even though she apologized, and see that's why I say it's a difference in how things are being done and moved around. Okay, so people wanted Whoopi canceled, but then she didn't say nothing. Typically, that was a race thing, right? She really didn't say anything that was a race thing. But here you have Joe Rogan who is saying something that is a race thing. And then you question, well, why he got to be, canceled? Well, they trying to cancel Whoopi, and Joe Rogan ain't apologizing. So, again, it's really just about who controls the media. And for them to be able to want to say the word again has me asking why. Now I get what you're saying, Tough. I don't specifically care to use the word. It's not my word to use. I don't use that. I don't use bitch either.
I hear you. I
It's,
hear you.
it's
Let
not
me
my
let the
thing to
audience
use.
know real quick. Let me let the
Are
audience
you
know.
able to hear me now?
I can hear you, Uncle Stu. One second.
Yes.
So what's happening right now is that YouTube have certain words that you cannot use, and if they pick it up in your stream, they mess with your stream. So that's what's going on right now. Because I'm looking at my Wi-Fi, I have all green bars, and everybody else does too. So
Yes.
I'm gonna blame this on YouTube. So try not to. If there's a word that you know that's gonna be controversial, just say N word or R word or something like that. So we can try
Or
to keep
J
it.
word
Or J
for
word, yeah.
JEW.
Yeah. Uncle Stu, welcome to the panel, man. What do you think about this topic, brother?
Real simple. He just needs to be out. There is no more tolerance.
Thank you.
And even we as a people don't need to be using it. But the bottom line is he needs to be out. And he needs to be out just as quick as Whoopi Goldberg was out. And there's
That's right.
no justification, no reason. And that's it. And I put an exclamation point on it. There is no seesaw about what we do, they do, he do, she do. Because the bottom line is you can't use certain words, and I'm from New York, so you can't use certain words in New York, else guess what? They're gonna put you out. Doesn't matter of apology, they're gonna put you out. And that's how we need to stand. When words are used and it's wrong, shut it down. Bottom line.
I hear you.
Very bottom line, because instead of him talking about
But see,
R. Kelly, why didn't he say, well, if Joe Rogan needs to be canceled, then it shouldn't be Joe Rogan shouldn't be canceled, and so shouldn't Whoopi Goldberg. Why he didn't say that?
Well, see, I'm not worried about what they do or don't do. It is now time that those of us that got podcasts master, instead of doing foolish stuff, master mass media and make it work, make it happen. So this is
I agree with that. I was talking more so with tough love based on him saying one versus the other.
My thing now is that we need to stop crying, start putting in the work, and begin to master this mass media that we have at our fingertips and begin to develop and push forward instead of worrying about the backs and making our own self look foolish. Keep on pushing forward until the grind in YouTube until we develop our own platforms outside of YouTube that can control our own narratives. Right now, we're still not able to control our own narratives because we're not taking responsibility in doing so. So I just still will say, yeah, being that if you're not on Spotify and if you is, money talks, BS walks. Stop your money, and I guarantee you they will take a listen to you. If you still spending money on Spotify, then they're going to keep doing what you're doing. Money talks, BS walks.
Good point.
I agree. And I'm going to continue to say that they control the media. So until we start controlling outlets that push positive things, because some of us control some, and we are not pushing the correct things, even if you are on YouTube. This is your space area. You still can't say what you want to say, but the things that you do choose to say are not reflecting us in a better light.
I think everyone who's just spoken to be on the panel, you all have some great points. I think one of the issues is that we use this word, and for some reason now in the last 2 months it's been shunned, the word accountability. And it's like, who holds us accountable? If we don't hold ourselves accountable, do we expect YouTube to hold us accountable? Like, why are there platforms where you can sit up and call one another names? You can sit up and bash each other. You can sit up, and point the finger versus saying, well, now we're being held accountable. And that's where it leads me back to the content creator, Eli, the computer guy, which I was playing his commentary. He's saying, well, if you guys don't hold yourselves accountable, how can you hold me and my race accountable? So go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I can answer that. I don't know if you realize this, but all those people that's doing that, do you realize they are not monetized? And if you see who is monetized and who is not monetized, that lets you know everything about that platform. So they may have a big audience, but guess what? They're not monetized because advertisers are not going to monetize on certain channels. So you have a lot of channels that is doing what they're doing, but guess what? they're not getting any advertising dollars for it. See,
I hear what you're saying, big brother. This is my thought process. The thought process is, what is why is there an existence and a need? Why not say you can't even be on this platform if you're doing that?
Well,
you know, where's the outrage for that?
Well, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You know, on that, with that point, that's a perfect point, you know, to make. Right now, all I can say is we got to keep pressing forward and keep pushing the issue forward.
Because here's the thing. Here's the thing.
And I totally agree with you.
We can't, and I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah.
Bro. This is the issue. I see selective outrage. I see people doing these things like, okay, well, Joe Rogan, you're a problem for doing what you do. But for other people, it's like, well, we're going to let them go because they're black. We're going to let them go because they're this and they're that. And my across the board, which is what I'm getting somewhat from this Eli guy. It's like, well, if you're not going to be the same across the board, you can't check me. You can't hold me accountable. And the thought process is, damn, what am I doing on my platform to say it is a zero tolerance? The same way, I don't care if you black trying to touch kids, if you white trying to touch kids, there's a zero tolerance. And the thought process, is there a zero tolerance for that type of negativity? And I'm gonna be honest with you, depending on who you are, who you like, we do have a certain level of bias when it comes to a certain level of negativity. Talk to me, man.
Okay.
Yeah, when you say that, I'm gonna 100%.
Let me interject real quick. We got to factor in that this is a business between Spotify, Joe Rogan, and everybody else that have a problem with him. We got to understand, Joe Rogan got 10 million views, or no, 10 million followers, and they all listen to him, and they all pay for this subscription to listen to what he has to say. Now, coming from a business perspective, if Joe Rogan's bringing me this kind of money, like he has a strong he has a strong leverage over everybody else working under Spotify, or that's incorporated with Spotify. So it's obvious that the owner of Spotify is going to take Joe Rogan's side because he's bringing in the bacon. Know what I mean?
Nah, that's unexcusable. And that's intolerable. I agree based on the argument that Tough Love just gave. He's absolutely right. We have selective racism. So we need to take ownership. Point blank.
Is it select racism, or because I mean we can't be racist against our own though, can we? So I don't think it's selective racism. I think what it is, it's select outrage more than it is select racism.
I still even say the other one, but that's a whole different topic. I agree with Tough Love in the fact that, number one, we have selected outrage. He's absolutely correct. And so that means we need to do something within our own community and clean that up. So yes, Tough Love is correct, and we need to stand on that.
Let me say something.
Your point of view, as far as the money, bro, I've watched major networks take down people that also have money. So that's not it. So I'm gonna agree with Tough Love on that one. He's right.
I totally appreciate everyone's perspective. I guess my thing about it is I get it, based on whatever our individual message is, this is what we're trying to come to YouTube and promote, whether it's positive or negative. And the thing about it is, I think, like I keep on saying, your content is your character. This is what you believe in, what you find yourself doing from time to time, day to day. And when people see your channel, it's a reflection of who you are. So if I say, well, I don't want to sit on my channel and call people the N-word and, call people names or whatever it could be, that's what I choose to do. But the thought process is, if just because I choose to do those things, right, then I look at someone else's channel, let's just say this content creator that I was playing, Eli the computer guy, and I say, well, hey, no, you can't use the N-word because you're white. Well, if he turns around and says, well, how is it pointing me out and you're putting me on notice, but you're not putting anyone else on notice? The thought process is, well, damn, do we have a point?
Yeah. Now, I don't mean to be short. I got to make a quick run, but I had to
You do
jump
what you gotta
in.
do. I appreciate you coming through, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. All right, Jada LaRue. All right, sir. Y'all
Yes,
have a
sir.
good one.
All
You
right.
too, huh?
All right. Jada, what you think, man? What you think thus far? Like, matter of fact, what do you think is the solution for this problem?
I think that they should do what they're supposed to do, which is not say the word. I mean, we can banish the word from our vocabulary, but will they ever banish it from theirs? Because see, that's what the major issue is that we're talking
Good
about. I don't
point.
like
Good
to
point.
deflect. I don't like
Good
to
point.
deflect and be like, oh, da da da. Okay, look, we know why we got this word. We
Mm-hmm.
know why we got this word, and it stems from y'all. And because so many of us back in the older days took on the word, because for some people, until they got older, they didn't even know it was a bad word because they were called it so often. So they used it as well. So there's many reasons why us as a people, or I shouldn't say us as a people, but a section of our people decide to use this word. But the main problem is that we know why you used it. We know why you used it back then. We know why you still secretly use it now. So see, if it wasn't that big of an issue, then he could have just said the NIGGA word and not kept saying N word. See, that was well practiced. He has been well practiced on being able to discuss the topic because he didn't slip once.
I'm
For a
gonna be
person
honest
who's
with you.
speaking up for it, he didn't slip once, but he also made sure that he mentioned that he used to use it. And when he first said, he said, people around me used it all the time.
Right.
And then finally he decided to say, I used to use it. Okay, so you used to use it and it wasn't in no good cancer. So why do you want to use it now?
Yeah,
See, we have to remain on the focus.
I get it.
Oh, go ahead.
I get it. I think it was a level of sarcasm that he when he was making points, especially when it was in reference to black people. And I've met a lot of
Just to make a
Caucasian people.
mockery of us. That's what he did.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like it was over the top. If you're gonna explain your point, but don't stretch out and add to certain narratives that you want to promote. He was like, yeah, some of those.
Man, the sound
Are
went out
good.
again. Oh, there we go.
Some of all races are good. So yeah. So Miss Refuse to Lose, what do you think about the topic? And hello.
Good afternoon.
Hey,
Um,
hon.
for the most part, I mean, I know my mom, she used to stress to us, of course we know where it came from, what our people been through and stuff like that. But a lot of parents for the most part, taught their kids that it was simply an ignorant person. But if you look at the different content and the different things going across the platforms, it's like the educated people are calling the educated people the N word. So it's confusing to those that are coming behind us that are truly wanting to know what is this word. So that's just something I wanted to put out. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing, man. I'm not going to even act like I am above reproach on this. I've definitely dropped a N word in to prove, and I mean, I even say prove a point. I just feel like um I don't. I think we all can do a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Some people, they've already fused that word out of their vocabulary. They don't use it at all. But there's always something that we can do a little bit better. So hopefully this brings some type of awareness to people to kind of say we can do better. We can have a better conversation. Let me add Simply Talking real quick. See what he thinks about this topic. Simply Talking, welcome.
Is that the male or the female?
Yeah, you're
Okay,
online.
hey, what's going on, huh?
Simply Talking, you there?
I think we all can do better, but what happens when you come across those conversations where you're trying to be the bigger person and you trying to tap the collar and let the person know, it just don't look right, don't sound right. And then y'all fall out because you're trying to convince them that we can do better. So, I mean, how do you take on that kind of situation as the person that's trying to make change?
So here's the
And
thing. I
I
think
agree.
that you try to stand. This is what I mean. Anytime you try to say, I'm not going to wallow in the mud, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to try to start cleaning myself off. When people start to see that, you really don't want to be about, the dirt, the nonsense and the craziness, people start to say, well, how dare you think? How dare you think you can rise up above this so you can be better than us? So they start throwing more dirt on you so you could be just as dirty as them. So anytime you stand for something, anytime that you say that I'm going to be different, I'm going to stand out front, I'm going to set this example, you can expect, or you should expect, some type of pushback, some type of verbal, or for some physical attack. So I think that it takes strength and courage to be able to speak out and say, let's do different. Let's make a change. Because the first thing that happens is people start to question, well, who are you and why do you think that you're strong enough to stand against the narrative or whatever rhetoric is being pushed? And I think that's really what it boils down to. Are you strong enough to stand against or take a stand and say something? Simply
Yeah, I
talking,
mean,
your
I mean,
Wi-Fi thing is very bad.
I mean, if we were to benefit within our community or certain parts of the community, we would not only have to boycott Joe Rogan, but boycott, the Cardi B's, the Bobby Schmurdas, and all these. Um,
Uh-oh.
you
Uh-oh.
know what I mean?
That's
Rush about to piss some
Because
people off. Uh-oh.
well, hey, it's what I do best. Let's piss some people off, brother.
Hey, listen, no, I think that you're exactly on point. And that was my thing with Jada. I was like, well, I understand what you're saying. You're like, no, they shouldn't be using it, period. And my thought process is, should we continue to use it, period? We continue to use it, period. Should we support people in these mainstream outlets, knowing that they have just as many followers or more than Joe Rogan? So that's really where I want to take this discussion and see what you got. Or is it
Yeah,
just
to fix that kind of solution, that's what it would take. You know what I mean? To boycott anybody that uses it,
what
from even actors. You know what I mean? Certain movies
I'm
that
sorry.
we like. You know?
I'm sorry, real quick. The sound went out for me. And you said you were trying to say what to Jada? I missed it. I'm so sorry.
No. I was just basically outlining the fact that what Rush was saying was, if we're going to boycott or dismiss one,
they got us again.
Yeah, because I'm like, man, the sound once again. I mean,
All right,
Yeah.
it's like as
I
soon as
will,
he get ready to make his point, it goes out.
I will come in real
Yeah.
quick today, ready. I did something the other day on my channel where I found on Instagram that DJ Drewski has come forth and decided he's no longer going to push gang music, and he's getting a lot of feedback. But my thing is this: it do start with the DJs, and so is he wrong? We know that recently he's had a child, and a lot of times when they have children that they own, they listening for themselves and their next generation. So they do change, how they move and what they do. And I think that's a great start because how else?
You're all a bunch of fucking assholes. You know why? You don't have the guts to be what you want to be. You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. So, what'll I make you? Good?